Hi everyone. I am back again to go over the next way that we can solve systems of linear equations. This method is called the substitution method. I like to call it the blob method. So let's go ahead and take a look at our notes. And if you notice, our notes are set up in a graphic organizer where we're going to ask ourselves some questions and decide which path to take. And it's going to walk us through how to solve it. So the first thing we need to do is get our equations written down. So the two equations we're going to look at is 2x plus y equals -1. And the other equation is x minus 2y equals -13. All right, so the first question it says that we're going to look at is, are either of the equations already solved for one variable? Like, does it have like x equals or a y equals? Well, if I look here, nope, x and y are on the same side. Nothing's by itself, and the same thing for the second one. So this answer is no. We are going to take this path and head down this way. So until we can say yes, we'll come back to this bottom part. So let's go ahead and figure out what we need to do to get at least one. It says are either, so we only need one. So which one of these equations we want to rewrite? So the rewriting for this is a little bit different. We are going to only rewrite so we can isolate one of the variables. It doesn't have to be the y. This time it could actually be the x. In fact, that's the one I'm going to do. So I'm going to choose, it doesn't matter which equation. When I look at this, I see that the y here is by itself. So it'd be really easy to move the 2x to the other side of the equation. Or this one, the x is by itself, and it'd be really easy to move the -2y to the other side of the equation. So technically, it doesn't matter which one you want to rewrite. I'm going to do the second one just because I'm going to rewrite and get the x by itself, which is different than what we've been doing when we do slope-intercept form. So I'm going to write my equation, x minus 2y equals -13. And what I want to do is I want to get this x all by itself. So when I do my boxes, my x is going to be over here, and my y's and my numbers are going to be over here. So it looks a little bit different, but you want to pick what's easiest. Why would I want to rewrite it? I don't have to graph anymore. So if I'm not graphing, you can pick whatever variable you want. So now let's put them in their place. So my x just gets carried down, which is what we want. This crosses the line, so it becomes +2y, and the -13 comes down. And there's our equation. X equals 2y minus 13. So that is the equation. Now we go back up here. Are either of the equations solved for one variable? Sure enough, this one now is. It is solved for the x. So now we're going to go up here and look at this part of the equation. If so, circle everything after the equal sign to identify the blob. So here we go. So here's my x, and it says circle everything after the equal sign to identify our blob. So here is our x, there's our equal sign, and here is our blob. I'm not going to use this normal circle. I'm going to blob it, make it look blob-like. All right, so there's my blob. Now that I identified my blob, I can now go back to step 2. All right, so step 2, I have a yes now. We are taken care of. So step 2 says substitute the blob into the other equation for the variable it equals, and then solve the equation. Some words highlighted there always helps. All right, so we're going to take our original equation up here, the one we haven't done yet. We haven't touched this one. So 2x plus y equals -1. And what we're going to do is, what do we know? What does x equal as of right now? X equals, in this equation, right here. So I could take an x and I could take 2y minus 13, and if I swap them out, they would actually equal the exact same thing. So we're going to take this blob And anywhere there is an x in this equation, we're going to substitute. So what we're going to do is we have the 2, and we are going to substitute in place of the x. We are going to write 2y minus 13, and just copy the rest of the problem down. Plus y equals negative 1. So all we're doing is substituting the blob in place of the x. Okay. Now we're going to solve our problem like we would normally solve. I can see this is in parentheses. What do we do when something's in parentheses? We distribute. So we're going to distribute using the claw. 2 times 2y is 4y. 2 times negative 13 is negative 26. Carry down the rest of my problem. Plus y equals negative 1. Now we're going to have to combine like terms. Combine like terms. So I know I have a 4y and I have another y over here. So 4y and y will actually equal 5y. Bring those together. Woo, throw that anywhere. Bring the rest of your problem down. Minus 26 equals negative 1. And now we can solve the equation for y. So let's add 26 to both sides. And I have 5y left over here and 25 left over here. Divide by 5, divide by 5, and I get y equals 5. I now found a solution to one of the variable values. So I have one solution. So now we move on to step 3. Step 3 says to substitute the newfound variable into the other equation. So now we're going to take this and go back into the original equation we started with, right over here, and now we're going to substitute again. So the equation was x minus 2y equals negative 13. And now in place of the y, we're going to put 5. So now our equation is going to be x minus 2 times 5 equals negative 13. And now we just simplify. Negative 2 times 5 is negative 10. Carry everything down. To get the x by itself, add 10 to this side, add 10 to this side, and I get x equals negative 3. So there's my answer for this one. X equals negative 3. We now have an x and a y value, so we now have a solution to our problem. Our x is negative 3, our y is 5, and we have now found a solution to our system of equations without any need to graph at all, just a little extra math. All right, and then of course to finish it up, let's go ahead and just take a look at our checking of our solutions. So just like we did before, I'm going to write the first equation out, and in place of the x, I'm now going to put the negative 3. In place of the y, I'm going to put the 5. So I'll have 2 times negative 3 plus 5 equals negative 1. 2 times 3 is negative 6 plus 5 equals negative 1. Yep, negative 1 equals negative 1. Check. That is definitely a solution to that equation. Now, is it a solution to the other? So x minus 2y equals negative 13. X is negative 3 minus 2 times y, which is now my 5, equals negative 13. And then solve. Negative 10. Combine. Negative 13. Yep. That also works. Check. So again, the checking is completely optional, but it does guarantee that you didn't make any mathematical errors as you are working through all this equation work. There is a lot of equation work here. Everything that we've learned this year does come out. How to eliminate, how to substitute, how to isolate, distribute, combine like terms. It's all here. The only thing we're not doing right now is graphing. So what you're going to do next is you're going to move on to the practice. There are just a couple problems for you to work through. So there's going to be 4 on one side and there's 4 on the back. All right, be on the lookout for potential parallel lines or same solution lines. So look out for those as you're working. And when you're done, or if you have any questions, come see me and we can move you on to elimination, which is the next video. See you later.